And hello there, welcome back to the booth here in Barcelona, Spain. Marshall Sutcliffe with Randy Buehler. We have reached the middle part of pool play. We're down the stretch here, Randy. We've got this round and next before we determine our top 8. Let's head down to the feature match area for Italy versus Greece. Hello and welcome to coverage of the World Magic Cup. I'm Marshall Sutcliffe in the booth with Randy Buehler, and we're underway in pool play. Part 2 here. We've got just a couple more to go. We have Italy versus Greece. Take a look at Marco Camiluzzi from Italy. He's the team captain.
Indeed.
He's
Top
also
8 at the Pro Tour earlier last season to get here.
That's right. Andrea Mengucci, his good friend, also on the team. They're sort of the headliners for Italy. On the other side of the table, we have Greece, where we've got Charalambos Kikitis, and we've got an Atarka Red mirror here, Randy. Now, to set the stage for the bigger picture as these players start their game, Italy can clinch with a win here. This would be their second win. Both teams have won their first round of this pool play.
Yeah, that's the power of being the top seed in the group. Italy knows that 2 wins will be good enough. Greece does not.
Greece,
they could
not the same.
I mean, they could hypothetically be on the wrong side of a 3-way tie at 2-1. I mean, 2 wins is probably good enough, but it does not clinch.
Okay. And we can see that the players now are trading dragon fodders here. Though Camiluzzi did start things off with a Lightning Berserker that doesn't look too hot right here.
Yeah, that's a card that the big super team that was all the talk coming into this tournament put in their Atarka Red deck. And Italy's the last team standing from that group. The U.S., Canada, Brazil, all have fallen by the wayside already in this tournament. Italy is the last member of that that super team.
I mentioned it a minute ago, Marco Camiluzzi and Andrea Mengucci are the ones who kind of headline the team. They've also got William Pizza. He's in Seat B playing Teamer Megamorph, and coach for this pool play is Francesco Beffero. On the other side of the table.
That Lightning Berserker didn't even manage to trade for a Goblin.
No. That's a sad Lightning Berserker. Bill Chronopoulos back again. Remember, this is the last year's finalist is Greece.
Yeah, I love that interview we just saw Brian do.
That's great.
They've gotten better every year of the World Magic Cup, so there's only one spot left for them.
That's it. Bill Chronopoulos, and then Antonis Physis is in Seat B as well.
And somehow this is the first time the Italians have even made day 2.
Yeah, this is their first day too, which is really surprising. All right, looks like things are developing further for our Atarka Red mirror here with Hordling Outburst for Marco Camiluzzi. And he's got all goblins. But he's got 5. His opponent only has 2. So let's see what Kikitis can come up with here.
Kikitis does have another Atarka's Command in his hand.
And a Lightning Berserker. And he's going to attack with 2 goblins. One's going to get blocked.
Yeah, it's interesting. Marco did not hesitate to block exactly 1.
This is him.
I mean, I like
playing
this.
Around this.
Exactly. He doesn't want to get blown out by an Atarka's Command, but he does want to force Charalambos to use it.
And there's that Lightning Berserker post-combat here. As he passes the turn back to Camiluzzi. Now, Marco's down to 10.
And there's a Become Amends in Kikitis' hand.
Yeah, he's going to have to respect that.
What do we got on the other side? Marco's got a Become Amends of his own.
Looks like a pair of Atarka's Commands and an Abbot of Carol Keep. Nice hand.
Yeah, he's got a 4th land he can play here.
And Marco wants to keep chipping in for damage here, but he does not want to get caught. Losing to a combination of, say, Become Immense and Atarka's Command, something along those lines.
I mean, pre-combat Abbott has to be at least a consideration here. Right, he can tap probably Mountain, play the Abbott, see what he gets. He's got a second land in hand if it's a 2-drop.
Cards? Ένα βασιλής. Με το... πώς είναι το μπλεκόκι.
Marco's still thinking. In the meantime, over on table A, Bill Chronopoulos wins his game.
Really?
His game won against Andrea Mengucci with Esper Dragons. Now Bill is on 4-color rally, and he said he didn't want to play against Esper Dragons.
He did.
But apparently a rough mana draw there for Mengucci. And Bill Chronopoulos picks up game 1.
So Marco did go for the pre-combat Abbott. He found Titan Strength, played the Mountain from his hand, and now is attacking with 3 of his 4 goblins.
Huh, look at that.
Sure.
He's going to go for a Tarkus command and just leave that Titan Strength stranded.
It's not unreasonable.
No, it's sweet. It's really cool because you kind of assume he's going to go for the Titan Strength, right?
Yeah, the fact that Marco has had 3 green cards in his hand with only the 1 forest kind of prices him into this.
Yeah, that's nice.
All right, attack, attack, attack. Marco's clearly going to block the Berserker. I think he's also going to block a Goblin. So there's 1 unblocked Goblin. Oh, Titan Strength came off the top for Charalambos Kakides.
So
Combo that with the Become Immense.
that's 4 plus 6 if you do the math, and that's 10.
Wow.
Yikes! So Charalambos Kakides steals one here from Camaluzzi. He was trying to play around it, but ultimately Kakides puts together 10 damage and takes game 1 for his match for Greece. We'll be back right after these messages.
Oath of the Gatewatch is coming. Follow the hashtag MTGOGW to keep up on the story of the Planeswalkers as they battle to save Zendikar and for the latest previews and information about the new set. Visit oathofthegatewatch.com for more information. Start on your road to the Pro Tour by playing in a preliminary Pro Tour qualifier. With more than 2,000 locations running events, you're sure to find one near you. Visit magic.wizards.com/PPTQ for schedules and information.
And welcome back to the feature match area here in Barcelona. So 2 quick game 1s go to Greece on their march to victory here, perhaps. They were the finalists last year. They're looking to improve on that.
Do not adjust your picture.
Wait
It
a
is, in
minute.
fact,
Is that a Wasteland Strangler?
Yes. Not only is it a Wasteland Strangler, it's also a Bloodshin Rager. And
What do we have? Black-White Warriors.
and the Chief of the Edge. This is a Black-White Warriors deck from Antonis Physis.
Cool. So they found a little niche here, and I like the interaction here. You see it's a stasis snare that was used to get a card exiled for food for the Wasteland Strangler. It's pretty cool.
Savage Knuckleblade. Wasteland Strangler, happy to strangle the Knuckleblade.
All right, well, what's the replacement here? It is a Bounding Krasis, and this is a big hit. In fact, lethal damage.
It clears a path. Bounding Krasis finally gets to do its thing.
Jeez.
Tap your blocker, kill you. Now that's the way this Temur Megamorph deck was drawn up. We've seen this deck look bad on camera multiple times yesterday.
It's true.
Did not look good, but it looked great there.
Yeah, those tempo plays, right? Getting out some beefy creatures and then continuing to develop your board while taking your opponent off of blocks seems like the way to go with this deck. It just hasn't really come together for it in day 1, but it looked great there. So that's one of the good for William Pizzi and Temur Megamorph on Italy. We're going to jump back over to Andrea Mengucci and Bill Chronopoulos now. Bill's playing 4-color Rally, and he's facing down Esper Dragons for Andrea. So let's see how this one plays out. The first game was over in a blink. It ended quicker than our Atarka Red Mirror did. So something went wrong for
Yeah.
Mengucci.
Sounds like he had a sketchy mana draw.
And so now we're going to instead see if this is a little bit better for 2.
Well, he's already gotten the 2 mana, so that's better than game 1 from what it sounds like.
He also has Jace. Ooh, Jace fight, both of them.
Yeah, dueling Jaces. It's interesting how 4-color Rally kind of occupies the Jace spot in your deck's lineup.
Yeah. Yeah, we're seeing the Jace decks from both teams here. Significantly different friends surrounding Jace, but
I did see a 3-color Rally deck yesterday, which made sense to me. Like, okay, maybe you have a Jace deck and then you have a 3-color Rally deck. But of the teams that actually did well in Unified Standard, 3-1 or better, it was 4-color Rally decks that did well, not 3-color Rally decks.
Mengucci's going to go get a basic swamp here. And that will, of course, clear the way for any of his future battle lands to come in untapped. And he's going to fire off a Duress after discarding one. And he sees one Rally of the Ancestors. There's also a Dispel. Dispel, a nice sideboard card for Bill Chronopoulos. Can help him fight for his Rally of the Ancestors, or it can just counter a Dig Through Time.
I assume you take the Rally here.
I would assume so.
Guess it depends a little bit on what Mengucci's holding. But yeah, he goes for the Rally.
21. Right.
Mengucci with a creature curve out here. Erishan
Yeah.
Cleric hits the battlefield.
Sometimes you just need a 1/3 blocker. Probably not the matchup he put that in his sideboard for, but
Getting those dead cards out. Innocent Antuco has to follow up for Bill Chronopoulos.
always a scary one when the Rally decks got their husk.
Yeah, he's got another one in his hand, too. There's an Utter End in hand now for Mengucci to go along with Dragonlord Ojutai. He's going to discard a second copy of Jace. And that, of course, is going to transform the original. And yeah, go ahead and get comfortable, Andrea. Let's settle in for a game here. Marco Camiluzzi has just joined Andrea Mengucci. You can see him there. Marco's very good friends with Andrea Mengucci. He told me in an interview I did a couple of days ago that he was really excited when Andrea won the World Magic Cup qualifier that he won.
Sure.
Because A, he knew he was getting a really good player on the team, but B, he's just really good friends with him. They test with each other for pro tours and such.
This is probably one of the few tournaments where they're not playing the same 75.
Yeah, unified standard. He's going to go ahead and just take out Jace right here. Now, that doesn't permanently solve the problem, as Jace is going to get sacrificed in Antuco Husk and could very easily come back through a Rally of the Ancestors later in the game.
Still, prevents it from flipping. Requires him to jump through some hoops to get it back.
See some people asking in the chat about what the difference between standard and unified standard is. Randy, you want to tell them?
Yeah, unified standard means that all 3 of your decks would still have to be standard legal even if you stack them on top of each other. In other words, you only get 4 copies of any given card across all 3 of your decks.
And the interesting part coming into the tournament for that was actually the mana, right? It wasn't so much the powerful spells and how to divvy those up, but it was who gets fetch lands.
Yeah, that turns out to be the way standard works as of right now. I mean, in previous years, it's worked out differently, but certainly the constraints in standard right now are the fetch lands. With typical standard decks running, 12 fetch lands, well, you don't get 36 of them to deal out between your 3 decks. You only get 20.
It's been interesting. Many of the teams took different tacks to get there.
Yeah, most decks wound up with a Jace deck. Usually Jace and Flooded Strand seem to travel together. Maybe it's Esper Dragons, maybe it's 4-color Rally. Most decks wound up with an aggressive Wooded Foothills style deck. Most commonly it was a Tarka Red, but we saw a decent chunk of Abzan aggro as well. These 2 teams both elected for a Tarka Red.
Yeah.
And then the third deck sees a lot of variety. In fact, Greece bringing a particularly spicy one to the table with a Black-White Warriors deck as their third.
Yeah, that one is. I did not expect to see that one. We see some Teamer, which is also here in the feature match area.
Yeah, Teamer versus Black-White Warriors. That's what happens when you get Unified Standard. It's like, well, we've got our Tarka Red deck. We've got our Control deck. What's left?
It's pretty cool for us too in the booth because we get to see some of the cards that are almost good enough or didn't just quite find the right home, and now we can see them on the big stage.
Yeah. Bounding Krasis,
Yeah,
flying down for the win.
Big Nux, Savage Knuckleblade.
Indeed.
I remember when I first saw that card, I thought, whoa, it's a good one. Thought we were going to see some Stubborn Denial Savage Knuckleblade decks. Meanwhile, we have Dueling Jace Telepath Unbounds and also a Dragonlord Ojutai here.
Yeah, it's interesting in that there's not that much going on in their hands, right? Andrea Mengucci down to just an island. Bill Chronopoulos still has that Dispel we saw earlier with the Duress, and now a Zulaport Cutthroat.
Cutthroats could help get things going, but yeah, there's a few key spells that Bill's going to look to find to really kickstart things. He's already had one of them taken away with a Duress.
Yeah, I mean, on the one hand, it feels like these guys could be settled in for some long, grindy, drawn-out affair, but without anything in their hands right now, it feels like the game's kind of poised. Somebody could run away with it with the right draws the next couple turns. Now, Bill does have the ability to flash back his Rally the Ancestors with his Jace. Dragonlord Ojutai may have a thing or two to say about that. Andrea's in this tricky spot where he kind of wants a card, but he also kind of wants to whittle down Jace.
Yeah, he decided to hit Bill Chronopoulos here.
Yeah, I mean, I think that he really wants the card. And was that it? Did he find a dig through time? Is that what we saw?
Not sure. He does know about the Dispel, though, on the other side of the table, if he did.
True. He's got a backup Dragonlord Ojutai and, it's a Silumgar Scorn.
Ah. Not a bad find.
Yeah, good.
He's going to flash back to rest. That's going to get that Dispel out of hand here.
Indeed.
For Bill Chronopoulos. And he's just going to pass the turn. Flooded Strand, last card in hand for Bill.
Wow, he draws Abzan Ascendancy.
Oh, that's a spicy one.
In from the sideboard. That's a Eureka Tech from GP Brussels.
This one's just kind of plodding along here. Abzan Ascendancy is going to hit.
Wow.
It's going to get countered.
Yeah, not actually going to hit.
And down it goes. But still, no player, or I should say Bill, doesn't really have a great way to find a win condition as of yet, though Dragonlord Ojutai is pretty scary, so he's got to get something going. Ojutai hit him last turn, threatens to hit him again.
Jace is the target of Bill Chronopoulos' attack. Cleric going to get in the way of the Nantuko Husk.
That would save Jace. See, they're discussing it. Really working as a team here. Marco Camiluzzi and Andrea Mengucci. And Mengu, as they call him, is going to go ahead and block.
And now Bill can kill the Cleric by sacking one of his creatures. He's not going to kill the Jace either way. He is going to make... He's going to knock a little loyalty off one way or the other. Decides that, yeah, he wants to get that Cleric.
And getting in for
Off
one
the
against
board.
Jace is a thing here too, right? You know, putting him down to 3 means if Mengucci wants to flash something back, it will cost him Jace.
Right.
A land off the top for Mengucci.
And continues to ignore the enemy Jace.
Yeah,
Wants the cards, and the damage is starting to add up.
it is. That was only 3 there, but still, there's really nothing.
Wow, there's a dig and a scorn in this. Anticipate.
Ooh.
He's
Just
going to go
take the-
scorn.
Really?
Pretty sure that's what that was.
Goes for the safe route.
He's going to flash back to Jace.
Utter
Is-
end. And just kill Jace here.
Yup.
Wow, okay. I like this. Mengucci's still at 19 life. And he's really worked Bill Chronopoulos into a corner here. He has nothing going on, no cards in hand. He's got an Nantuko Husk and a Zulaport Cutthroat, but that's it. That's certainly not enough firepower to win Bill the race here. What did he find? Well, he found another Jace. And he's going to go ahead and counter it. You know, he was hoping he'd find a land or two before he needed to use his counterspell, but sure. Silumgar Scorn's going to hit that second copy of Jace. And Bill has the opening to get in for damage here.
17.
Zulaport Cutthroat hanging out on defense against a potential Shambling Vent attack.
That's what it's doing.
Would be a turn off the clock, right? Big difference between 11, or between 6 and 4.
Yeah.
Another Cleric.
Another Arishan Cleric to Mengucci back up to that starting life total of 20 before he passes the turn back, and time is running out for Bill Chronopoulos. He needs to find something good here. Ooh, second Cutthroat. I'm assuming that's going to buy him a turn here. One way or the other. He's going to attack with Nantuko Husk. And Gucci's just going to block with the Arishan Cleric.
18 to 8.
And that's going to bump Bill Chronopoulos back up to 8. And Mengucci is going to fall to 18 and lose his Arishan Cleric. I don't think he cared that much. Once again, Dragonlord Ojutai hits the red zone and hits Bill Chronopoulos. This drops him down to 3 life. And I see that there's a dig through time in that pile, Randy. And
Yeah.
the insurance policies are starting to line up here for Mengucci. He knows if he can just find, Silumgar Scorn here, it's about done deal. Once again, Bill Chronopoulos is top decking.
See you later.
Camaluzzi says, "See you later." he gets up. And that will do it. In fact, Andrea Mengucci is going to take down his second game here. So that ties things up against Bill Chronopoulos. Remember, Bill took a quick one against Andrea in game 1. So that's 1-1. And you can see that on table B, that's our middle table. We got action. A lot of players huddled around each other. And this, of course, is that White-Black Warriors deck versus the Teamer Megamorph deck. This is William Pizzi versus Antonis Fisses. And it looks like Antonis has double stasis snare here, holding down a couple of creatures there from William.
And Secure the Waste has made 3 warriors.
Yeah, totally. I have to play. No, I'm the coach.
Marco's really funny.
Little by little, you know. I'm so old.
He's joking around with the judges and his opponents. In the meantime, we got serious business here in the feature match. Gideon, ally of Zendikar, has hit the battlefield here for Physis. Or has it? Yes.
Θα προσπαθήσω, αλλά δεν είναι απλό. Όχι.
Yeah, William says, yeah, you got it. All right, so what are you going to do with it?
I was just wondering the same thing.
Yeah, he can start making knights, or he can immediately make an emblem here. It's a pretty nice emblem. Would give him 9 power on board right now.
Doesn't get things through Savage Knuckleblade, though.
No, it doesn't.
But that's the line.
Okay, Gideon emblem has arrived. William Pizzi at 9 life here. And yes, everybody's in. See a shambling event there for Antonis as well. Not attacking this turn, but could threaten to.
Yeah, the emblem does a nice job of allowing the attack into the morph. That is a Den Protector.
It is, okay. I think that's what Antonis would assume.
Yeah.
But there's also Death Mist Raptor in the deck. And Rattleclaw Mystic. Okay, so we see block. Fiery Impulse.
So not blocking with his morph.
Correct.
5 damage gets through.
Yeah, that's a lot of damage still getting through to William here after that no block. He's down to 4. But he did a good job of cleaning up the board there. Land go?
Land, crucially, is a second shambling fence.
Indeed.
Radiant Flames. Many flavors of burn spells in Pizzi's hand.
He double checks his morph. Yep, still Den Protector. Yeah, you got to feel like William Pizzi's in a good position here. He's at 4 life, but I think he's got himself sorted out. And here's Roast. to take
Roast
down.
your goblin token, or your warrior token from Secure the Waste. On the one hand, that's not really what you imagine Roast doing when you put it in your deck, but on the other hand, it looks totally fine
It
here.
kind of does. And Antinous, he's at 12 and probably taking 3 here.
Mengu, importante questo.
You can hear they call Mengucci Mengu. That's his nickname.
Se lui qui fa, quello non blocca. Se lui anima, io faccio quello, mi manda uno, uccido. Ci sta.
A lot of chatter going back and forth about how to play this sequence.
Yeah, he's talking over to the other table where Mengucci's at and double checking with everything that he needs to be doing for this turn. And as it turns out, he's getting in there this turn. So he attacks for 6, half of Antinous' remaining life total here, and passes the turn back. Since that is a Den Protector, he can get back Fiery Impulse
τέτοιο. Ναι. Αυτό που έρχεται...
and fire it off.
Yeah, that's probably a line.
Και μου παίρνει αυτό εδώ. Γιατί παίζει και αυτούς που έρχονται και το μεγάλο. Το μεγάλο χάνει.
Antinous cannot activate both of his Shambling Vents this turn.
Oh, he drew another Gideon.
Did he?
Yeah.
He just can't do everything he wants to do.
Αυτός όμως παίζουν ότι δεν το έχουν. Κοίτα, άμα το έχουν, χάνω μία άλλη. Ναι, γιατί και να παίξω αυτόν και να βγάλω το πινάκι, θα μου το ταπώσει και θα μπει αυτό το βγάλω. Ωραία, είναι στο 4. Εγώ πρέπει να το κάνω αυτό και να μπω. Δεν έχω κάτι άλλο.
Now, one thing he can do is just sit back to block as well,
Άμα παίξω αυτόν και βγάλω για να
leaving up his Shambling
θα
Vent.
παίξει, άμα έχει αυτόν που να πάμε πίσω, πρέπει να σκοτώνω. Αυτό δεν το πάω. Ναι.
His Bloodsoaked Champion, of course, can't, but it's 1 short of lethal as it sits.
Θα μου τον παίξει όταν πάω να το κάνω με τον ταπώσει. Θα πάω στο είμαι στα 6.
All right, now you see Mengucci right behind William Pizzi.
Αυτό πάω να κάνω. Δεν έχω κάτι άλλο.
All right, activate Shambling Vent,
Okay.
attack for lethal damage. Rending Volley. Oh, man, that's brutal, and it's white too, so
Right.
no life gain for Antinous as his Shambling Vent hits the bin, and William Pizzi picks up the match
Δεν μπορούσα να το κερδίσω.
for Team Italy here. So Table B goes to Italy. They're one of the good. Remember, Table A is the Andrea Mengucci versus Bill Chronopoulos match, in
They're
which
ready for game 3.
they were at 1-1. That's right. And we did watch Game 1 down on Table C as well, which is Marco Camiluzzi losing Game 1 to Charalambos Kikidis. That's what we're watching here is Game 2. So let's jump into this and see how this one plays out. So far, not looking good for Italy. And Hordeling Outburst is going to add to the already much bigger board state on the other side of the table. What does Camiluzzi have that can get out of this? Well, he's got to start here with Arc Lightning. He gets to kill 3 of the 6 creatures he was facing down prior to that. And there's a Zergo Bell Striker with dash to get in for a total of 5. Drop Marco Camiluzzi down to 11 before passing the turn back, and a nice draw over there for Marco. Abbot of Carol Keep into Dragon Fodder. Well, that's pretty good. You know, when
Not
red
bad.
decks get to do that, now all of a sudden he's stable. And here's once again Zergo Bell Striker being dashed in, as well as the 3 goblins attacking, and they're all in the red zone.
It's 5 power worth of attackers on the face of it.
I'll be 11, right? Yes, you're 11, right?
Marco Camiluzzi down to 11 and down a game.
Yeah, 12 and 11.
But he's gotten in for some damage too. Kikidis is down to 12. So
I think Marco's the one with an Atarka's Command in his hand, though. So I think he's a little hesitant to block and trade off his creatures because it means his Atarka's Command just won't do as much. So yeah, he's willing to take the 5. It is just 5. Breathes a sigh of relief there.
It is just 5, so he falls down to 6. Remember, in game 1, he took 10 from a Goblin.
Yeah. I mean, there was no Atarka's Command to kill him there, but
Jeez,
the
another
Hordling outburst is not good news for Marco Camilluzzi.
Camilluzzi's lining up attacks here, but he has been behind on board since we came over to this game and has not been able to right the ship here. But in the meantime, he's just going to go ahead and get in there.
I think he's hoping Kikitis will block here, and then he can do some damage with an Atarka's Command.
There's also two
I mean,
card
Marco
combinations
is
that
just
kill him if he doesn't block at all, but he's not doing that.
Right, well, here's the thing. Marco is dead to an Alpha Strike. Like, he's attacked in such a way, he just loses if Charalambos says, take it, turn my guy sideways. Think about that for a second. Like, he could have left blockers back, but he's trying to make the most intimidating attack possible.
Yeah, and it's entirely possible that Kikitis dies here if he doesn't block. It's quite easy, in fact, for 2 cards to kill him. I mean, just the Atarka's Command gets Kikitis down to, what, 2?
Yeah, Become Immense would get him to 1. I think it takes 2 cards, though, for Marco to kill him from here.
It does take 2, yeah.
And
Yeah,
Charalambos,
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9,
like
10.
if he loses any of his creatures in combat, he loses the lethal crackback. Oh no, he's got Zergo Bellstriker in his hand, so he
The
can
dashed.
actually dash out Zergo and try to win the game next turn.
He also could, this is super interesting, right? Because if he does go for the triple block, then he does get pretty blown out by Atarka's Command here.
Yeah, I don't think triple block is the answer. Double block is what he decides.
Atarka's Command, it is from Marco Camilluzzi.
So Charalambos takes 4 total.
He takes 5 total,
Oh, 5, right?
and he runs over a couple of goblins.
But now the Zergo attack is still lethal.
It is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He just has to make that attack, but I mean, what else is Zergo going to do, right?
Yeah, no, he blocked with as much as he could to still open up an lethal Alpha Strike.
He plays it on the table,
Did he draw more? Oh, he also drew a Swift Spear.
and a Swift Spear just for good measure, and everybody comes in. Marco Camilluzzi extends the hand. Charalambos Kikitis takes his match down for Greece, and you know what that means, Randy? We're getting a deciding match here, as we've now split matches between Italy and Greece, and that is going to leave Andrea Mengucci and Bill Chronopoulos game 3 to decide the whole thing.
Indeed.
Ooh, I love this part.
Haha.
Esper Dragons for Andrea Mengucci versus 4-color Rally for Bill Chronopoulos.
Good players, good decks, good matchup. Italy can clinch a spot on Sunday if they win this game of Magic.
No pressure, Mengucci.
Duress your collected company. No decisions. That's the only choice. That's a 6-card hand for Chronopoulos, too. Greece doesn't quite mathematically clinch with a spot on Sunday with a win here, but they're in great shape. They probably could back into a spot on Sunday even with a loss next round. Just not mathematically guaranteed.
Now, in Italy's case, I don't want to put you on the spot here, Randy, but if they were to lose and then win the next round, would they still be through?
Yeah, as the #1 seed, 2-1 is definitely
Is
good
a
enough.
lock. Okay.
So Italy has 2 win-and-ins, essentially. They have this one and next round. With a chance that they could back in at 1 and 2 if things broke the right way for them.
Okay, Elvish Visionary for Bill Chronopoulos, who passes the turn back to Andrea Mengucci. Remember, he's on the Esper deck. He's on the slow deck here. He needs to keep Bill sufficiently disrupted. One of the strengths of the 4-color Rally deck is it doesn't really mind if its creatures end up in the graveyard. They kind of wants them there. Where Mengucci's deck is in many ways designed to do just that. Kill the opponent's creatures. You can certainly feel some tension down there. these guys certainly know what's on the line. All right, another Elvish Visionaries. Things sort of plot forward here for Chronopolis. That is the one thing that Andrea Mengucci does have on his side is time. The 4-color rally deck, not very explosive. Especially as long as Mengucci's duressing on turn 1, turn 3 Jace, kind of moving his plan forward here. We mentioned it before, but Bill Chronopoulos and company, he was the captain last year as well. They made it to the finals. They've performed very well at the World Magic Cup traditionally.
18.
Mengucci's going to block one of the Visionaries and drop down to 18 life. He finds an ultimate price off the top of his library.
There's a very pretty unexciting hand for Bill Chronopoulos. Canopy Vista, Evolving Wilds, Windswept Heath.
Yeah, not a lot going on, and he's going to lose his Zulaport Cutthroat here to the ultimate price.
More where that one came from.
Catacomb Sifter it is for Bill Chronopoulos. And let's see what Mengucci finds with his Jace. He found Infinite Obliteration. That came in out of the sideboard.
It is pretty tough for a rally deck to win if Infinite Obliteration names Dantuco Husk.
Yeah. Yeah, they need that sacrifice outlet to make the whole thing work.
I mean, they become a bad beatdown deck at that point.
Which is pretty much the best possible scenario if you're playing Esper Dragons, right? Oh,
Yeah.
you're going to play junky 1/1s for 2 and that kind of thing. You're just going to get them. So now Mengucci gets to have a little browse here.
Yeah, he has gone for exactly the Nantuko Husks we thought he would. Really guts this deck. And Obliteration worked out to be a pretty good sideboard card. And I think a lot of people put it into their Esper decks planning to bring it in against Eldrazi. Right, name Ulamog, for example. It turns out to be pretty good against the rally decks, too.
Yeah, I've seen it in control mirrors as well, naming Ojutai.
Sure.
Can I write down the end?
Yeah, sorry.
And Andrea Mengucci also gets to see Bill's hand search,
Aspetta un attimo.
as you can see on Infinite Obliteration, and he sees a lot of good news. Windswept Heath Canopy Vista is all Bill has left at this point. And while Mengucci doesn't have a win condition lined up quite yet, you gotta feel like he's moved significantly towards a win here. And he passes the turn back to Bill Chronopoulos. These players are tied at a game apiece. Their teams are also tied and a match apiece. And a win here for Mengucci could send Italy into the top 8.
Cazzo nominiamo? Ci nominiamo un'altra. Ho pensato quello. Lo Catacomb Sister?
Mengucci's going to go ahead and block the Catacomb Sifter and then activate his Jace. People familiar with watching Standard at this point have seen this little trick a bunch of times.
Go to...
Before damage actually happens, Jace becomes a Planeswalker and isn't going to take any damage.
Nominiamo due, se possiamo.
In the meantime, an Eldrazi Scion and a pair of Elvish Visionaries do hit
Vabbè, facciamo questo.
Mengucci. Chronopolis just trying to piece together a game plan here on how he can actually win. His Nantuko husks have been stripped away with infinite obliteration, taking a key part of his combo out.
Aspetta, se invece...
Jace Telepath Handband almost ticked up, but it looks like Mengucci wants to think it over.
Tipo, se scompiamo...
You know, we did see Abzan Ascendancy in the last game from Bill Chronopolis. That's the kind of card that could look pretty good right here.
Tipo...
Decides Visionary is the target. Because Dragonlord Ojutai can block Catacomb Sifter.
I mentioned a few minutes ago about win conditions. He already had a Jace on the battlefield, but now he's got one of the best win conditions in the format, Dragonlord Ojutai, and this game could be over very quickly if Bill doesn't find something and quick.
Meno di questi attacchi abbastanza così.
Yeah, Andrea Mengucci has certainly navigated this toward a great place for Italy. Looks like they're going to clinch that spot on Sunday.
Now, what does this mean for Greece? Let's say that Andrea Mengucci is able to finish out from here, and Greece picks up the loss.
Some of it, because they're a 3 seed, they don't have a lot of control over their own destiny in tiebreaker scenarios. You know, winning next round could plausibly get them through, but I mean, I don't know what the other result is in this group yet.
Okay.
Right, some of it comes down to what happens in, I believe it's Scotland and, oh, it's about to crawl by on the ticker.
Yeah, Italy, Scotland, Greece, and you can see on the bottom of your screen the Philippines as
Right,
well.
so Scotland and the Philippines are playing now. Italy, they're rooting for the Philippines. So they have the tiebreaker advantage over the Philippines, but they would lose any potential ties to Scotland.
In the meantime, it's all on Andrea Mengucci, Marco Camiluzzi,
Io 13, ma 17.
William Pizzi, and Francesco Beffero to finish this thing off and send Italy into the top 8.
The Philippines did, in fact, defeat Scotland. That result has just come in. So Scotland at 0-2. I believe Scotland plays Italy next round, if I'm not mistaken,
Okay.
which means that it's a win and in for Italy. So even losing here, I'm sorry, for Greece.
The next round would be
Even if Greece loses here, they control their own destiny. They can get through to Sunday by beating Scotland in the next round.
Okay, Dragonlord Ojutai is going to go ahead and block Catacomb Sifter. He does get a scry. Now you might be wondering, wait a minute, it doesn't count itself. Well, there's another Catacomb Sifter up there, so that's why he's getting one scry here. I mean, Bill has, look at this board state, right? I mean, he's made it on Offense of the Foremost, another Catacomb Sifter. This is an impressive board state here, so he has made a little bit of work for Andrea Mengucci to do here.
It's an impressive board state for the bad beatdown deck version of his deck.
Exactly. Again, you know, I keep thinking of Abzan Ascendancy, though. That's the kind of card that can really make it tough for Mengucci. I'm assuming, yeah, that must have been an attack from Ojutai, as I see. Mengucci looks like he's looking at some cards. Yeah, there we go.
I mean, Drea has a Croxa Fate in his hand. If he gets scared enough, he could potentially wipe the board away, but he doesn't particularly want to lose his dragon. Well, he doesn't have to
but
lose his dragon, of course.
Crux.
Yeah, of course. You just Crux. I'm thinking
Yeah,
of Planar Outburst.
I think he drew Crux for the turn. So yeah, that should seal the deal. So Crux of
There you
Fate,
go.
bang, non-dragons, kill everything you've got. Now that's a lot of scry triggers that Bill Chronopoulos is going to receive here, but what can he really find?
I get like
Yeah,
5 scries.
He gets 5 scry ones.
This one does go to the graveyard?
So Bill very likely to draw something good next turn, but he's drawing 1 card
5.
from a hand that has only an island in it right now.
He finds Jace as the first scry. That's not going to get the job done, so he ships that to the bottom. This goes to the bottom. This is the third of 5 scries, bottom. And he's finally found something he wants to keep here. Now, Mengucci does only have 1 mana up, but he's got to have Dispel, right?
Collected Company's the card Bill Chronopoulos
Oh, it's
found.
Collected Company. Okay, fair enough. And it's going to resolve. Let's see what Bill finds out of the top 6. He's down to 12 life, facing Dragonlord Ojutai and Jace Telepath Unbound. He's found a lot of action here. Another Sifter, a Cutthroat, an Anafenza. Can he find a way to get in enough damage to keep the pressure on Andrea Mengucci?
All right.
He ends up going with Zulaport, Cutthroat, and Catacomb Sifter. Of course, the Sifter brings in a Scion as well. And once again, Dragonlord Ojutai hits the red zone, and the cards are just flowing into Andrea Mengucci's hand. Whoa, that was not a decision. I couldn't see what it was, but he did
It was
not
Jace
hesitate
Chase
on
Utter
that.
End.
It was Jace Chase Utter End, so he
took the
takes
Utter
an
End.
Utter End here.
He's going to flash back the Crux.
Just going to wipe the board once again.
Makes sense.
Hey, it worked last time. Let's do it again.
8, 10. Exactly 10.
And Mengucci points out that that brings Bill Chronopoulos to exactly 10. Why? Well, because that's 2 hits with Dragonlord Ojutai. He wanted to make sure that Bill didn't get any more creatures on the battlefield and get any more triggers from his Zulaport Cutthroat. That's scry 1 to the bottom. He only gets scry twice there, and he did find one to put on top. Well, it's an Elvish Visionary. Nothing super exciting here for Team Greece. And he finds another land. The window is closing very quickly here on Greece. Dragonlord Ojutai only has to hit 2 more times. And you can see the calm faces of the Italian team. They don't look too worried about much here. They know what a great position they've put themselves in and what it would mean to the Magic fans back home in Italy to make the top 8 here. Come back and play tomorrow.
Show me a counter.
And that does it. Italy is through. Andrea Mengucci wins his match. And Italy defeats Greece here to much jubilation, and we're going to see them play tomorrow, Randy. Now, Greece, it's not over yet.
In fact, they still control their own destiny.
So they get to go into next round, last round of the tournament here before we cut, and they can win and make it into the top 8. Maybe even get some revenge on somebody.
Yeah, I think their match against Scotland turns out to just be a win and in.
It just ends up being a win in it. All right, well, that's super exciting stuff from our floor. Welcome back to the booth. That's Randy Buehler and Marshall Sutcliffe, and this is what it's all about. We get down the stretch here at the World Magic Cup, and you see once the win happens, it's high fives, it's hugs, it's cheering, and that's the kind of visceral thing that you get down in the feature match area that you don't necessarily get. You know, modern-day Magic players, they're pretty stoic, right? You know, they're kind of taught to just stay on an even keel. And, you know, you'll see a little, maybe one of these every once in a while, but it's not, you know, cheering, jumping, and hugging and that kind of thing these days.
It is here.
Yeah, but here it is. All right, so there's a lot to get you updated on, and I know Rich Hagan is ready at the news desk.
I'm ready for you, Marshall. Thanks so much for that penultimate round. 1 to go. 4 pools. 2 are decided, 2 are most certainly not. Let's take a look. Here's Pool A, first of all. Get up on the big board. This is Belarus, Guatemala, Denmark, and Paraguay. Now, you see Denmark are 2-0. Great position for them. Guatemala and Belarus 1-1. Paraguay at 0-2 because they were the bottom seed coming in. They are done. So there are 3 teams left. Here's the deal. Belarus plays Paraguay. Because Belarus are a top 2 seed, they know that if they beat Paraguay, they're in. So that would be 1. Guatemala plays Denmark. Well, the deal here is Denmark obviously make it in with a win. They get to 3-0. Guatemala stays at 1-1. And then regardless of what happens elsewhere, Denmark are, of course, safely through. At that point, if Paraguay beat Belarus, Belarus would make it in as one of the 1 and 2s with the highest seed. So it would be Denmark and Belarus. But Denmark have a second shot at this. If Denmark lose and fall to 2-1, and then Guatemala would go to 2-1. If Paraguay can beat Belarus, well, at that point, you would be in a position where Denmark can make it in even with a loss. So Denmark in good shape despite being a 3 seed right now. That's what's happening in Pool A. Let's take you across to Pool B, where this is done. Very straightforward. Austria are about to play Thailand, or they're going to not bother to play Thailand because they are in the top 8. Austria with Valentin Mackel, Sebastian Fiala, Ibic, Christoph Alcantara, and Nicky Eigner. The Thai team led by Virapat Cyrila Vorikal, they are both through. And that means that's the end of the run for the Serbian team of Alexa Telerov and co. Ukraine are done as well. They will play for national pride and position and pro points and money, but not for a place in the top 8. So B is done, Austria and Thailand. Pool C, this is also done. We knew that France and Japan would face each other in the final round. They knew that they, between them, had 4 matches to try to make sure they couldn't eliminate each other at this stage. So right now, France 2-0, Japan 2-0, they are done and in. Both 2 of the big names left in the tournament. Japan, the first time they've ever made day 2, they made the top 16, now they've made the top 8. Kenji Samura, Yuya Watanabe, Ryoichi Tamada, and Yeo Su make it through. New Zealand and Latvia are done. They will play each other just to see who finishes 3rd in the group. Then we get, then we get Pool D. Pool D is complicated. Italy are through. Great job by them. Andrea Mengucci, Marco Camiluzzi, William Pizzi, they're done. And in fact, look, there's Andrea Mengucci, and this is the moment where they go, we are in the top 8 of the World Magic Cup. Imagine what it's going to be like if they win the whole thing tomorrow. Crazy stuff. Brilliant job by the Italians. They're through. But that leaves 3 teams still in the mix. Now, Scotland came in as a number 2 seed. They're at 0-2, and you think, okay, we're done. But no, you're not, and here's why. Italy plays the Philippines. Let's imagine Italy beats Philippines. Italy goes to 3-0. They're already through. Philippines would go to 1-2. The Philippines, as a bottom seed, cannot make it in at 1-2. Now let's imagine Scotland beat Greece. Scotland move up to 1-2. Greece fall to 1-2. It would read 3-0 Italy, 1-2 Scotland, 1-2 Greece, 1-2 Philippines, and because Scotland did so well this morning in pool play to be a number 2 seed instead of the number 4 seed they were this morning, a Scotland win coupled with an Italy win puts Scotland into the top 8. Now, for the rest, Greece is straightforward. They know that as long as they beat Scotland, they will go to 2-1. Whatever happens, even if the Philippines win, Greece would be the higher 2-1, and you would have 3 2-1s potentially, Italy, Greece, the Philippines, and Philippines would be knocked out as the bottom seed. So Greece just have to beat Scotland. Scotland have to beat Greece and hope that the Italians there come off their high of making the top 8 and do them a favor. So they're watching their own match and the Italians really, really closely. Well, that's where we are. We know then that we have an Austria, a Thailand, a France, a Japan. We know that Belarus with a win. We know Guatemala need a win. We know Denmark need a win. We know Greece need a win. We know Scotland need a win, plus an Italy win. That's what's at stake here in the last round of pool play at the World Magic Cup. But this is a great event, and it takes a lot more than just the players to make a great event. BDM was out on the floor earlier this round, and he had a chance to talk with one of the unsung heroes of the World Magic Cup, his head judge, Scott Marshall.
I'm here with Scott Marshall. He's a level 5 judge. He's the head judge of this unique event, the World Magic Cup. Scott, talk to me about some of the unique opportunities of judging at an event like this.
You get to see players who are very enthusiastic about playing on this level. To come to a global event is such a special thing, and for many of these players, this is their opportunity. They aren't regulars on the Pro Tour. They aren't regulars at Grand Prix. I don't recall ever having a Grand Prix in Macedonia. I don't think we've ever had a Pro Tour in Belarus, but yet those players are here and they're having a great time.
Now, great time is wonderful, but they also want to have a fair time. They want to have that even footing that the judge staff ensures for everybody. How do you ensure that? How do you make sure that you have a judge staff that can address all the different languages and experience levels at this event?
Well, like with any Pro Tour event, we make sure that we have a diverse mix of judges from a lot of different countries. This event happens to be special because we brought in a lot of regional coordinators, and they also happen to be some of the most experienced among our level 3 and level 4 judges. So we have, I would call it an all-star cast. And these people are very, very good at ensuring an even and enjoyable playing experience.
So, for players who want to get to the Pro Tour, maybe not as a player, but as a judge, they want to go that route. It's the same thing, right? Because the judges who get to come to a Pro Tour or get to come to a World Magic Cup, that's like an elite class of judges who, as the same as the players who get to go to those events. What's the path for a person who wants to enjoy Magic from the red and black shirts of the judge staff?
Well, the short version is the experience grows from local to a broader region to a national and international and global perspective. So as you grow in experience, you gain trust in the program and you gain trust from the players. And it's those judges who have reached that kind of global visibility among the players and among the judge program that we want here, providing that experience for the players.
What's the most interesting question that has bubbled up the chain of command to the head judge over the course of this weekend so far?
It's actually been surprisingly quiet, but we did have a player who in one sequence of actions managed to incur 2 drawing extra cards penalties in a row. And we had to explain to him that the third one would be very, very bad.
Okay, and then any kind of unique card interactions that have come up? I saw we had someone talking about Triple Herald of Kozilek, Ulamog's Reclaimer, and Brutal Expulsion. The players here are all able to deal with all the kind of complexities?
So far, yeah. And again, we have a crack staff of judges who are very good at what they do and deliver their rulings with confidence. And I've had very little in terms of appeals where a player doesn't believe the initial judge's ruling and wants to hear it from me. This staff of judges is just so good that has not been much of a phenomenon this weekend.
Right, so in an ideal world, with the level 3, level 4 judges that you've sort of outlined, the toughest questions you face should come from me this weekend?
Exactly.
All right, for Scott Marshall here at the World Magic Cup, that's all. We got one round to go.